Well, welcome everybody. It is a great pleasure to have the opportunity to kick off the State of the Organization for Homeword. I want to thank you for being here and thank you for taking time out of your day to join us. I am joining you today as the mayor of Missoula, and look, they even gave me a mug. It's official. I have recently left my position as executive director of Homeword after 15 years of serving in that capacity with Homeward to resume the helm or take the helm here at the city of Missoula as the 52nd mayor. And it's quite a transition for this organization at Homeward and the city as well. Change can be a really positive thing, and this is certainly the case for Homeward, and I believe the city as well. I wanted just to take a moment to reflect on the 15 years that I spent as the executive director of Homeward with an amazing staff and board of directors, different people, of course, joining us over those years. Here I am working downtown Missoula again. When I came back to Homeward in 2008 as the executive director, we were located downtown Missoula, and the current campus where our office is located in the Solstice building, the Solstice and Equinox campus, was just underway, under construction. The Equinox building was just being built. And so we spent a good number of years down here as we were building out our headquarters, which of course now we've been in for 11 years. And in that time, over the course of 15 years, we expanded the organization from working in 2 communities in the state of Montana to now building homes in 14 Montana communities. We had several projects, but several small projects. And in that time, we went from a few hundred homes to now, right now, we're close to 1,500 homes that have been built where people have a safe and healthy home each night. In addition, we have literally served tens of thousands of people in our home ownership center, helping them buy their first home, helping them make wise financial decisions, and help them plan for the future. It's been an incredible, fulfilling 15 years for me, and it's a great honor to speak with you today in this capacity and be part of this. I want to just give a shout out to Jacqueline Fluellen. She is the fundraising manager for Homeward, and the state of the organization was her idea, and it was a brilliant idea, and really happy that we're able to do this today. Speaking of today is Giving Tuesday. And so, as you know, Giving Tuesday is a great way for all of us to support organizations that are doing great work. Homeward absolutely participates in this day. And so you can see on the screen that your gift today will be matched up to $2,000. So please go ahead either to our website, or you can scan that QR code. In the chat, there's a link to the donate page. And again, that QR code will get you there. Every single dollar counts, no matter the size of your gift. So we really encourage you to participate and help us reach that $2,000 of matched gift. Thank you so much for that consideration. I want to pass this on to Carissa. And before I do that, I want to communicate my utmost confidence, trust, and faith in Carissa as a leader. She came to our organization over 7 years ago. And when she started with us, I asked the leadership team, of which many, and the hiring committee, of which many are on this call today. I said, all right, of the 2 candidates that we narrowed it down to, which one do you think could take over as executive director? And they said, Carissa. And I said, okay, then that's the one we're going to go with. And so, ultimately, who knows what the future holds for you? But the reality is that, you surround yourself with smart, dedicated people. And that's really what Homeward has as far as an organization, as far as both staff and board. When we did some reorganization in 2021, I actually called Carissa out of maternity leave to take a walk with me in the hills of Missoula. And we were talking about an opportunity for Homeward to reorganize, to do some succession planning. And at the time, I had no idea what the future would hold, and that I would be sitting here in the mayor's office and that Carissa would be taking the helm as the interim executive director. But our whole team put their energy behind those efforts, and Carissa has really led the way with expert care for staff and fantastic planning. She's really dove into the intricacies and the complexities of what it takes to lead an organization like Homeword. And it is with my great pleasure that I hand the microphone over to Carissa as Homeword's interim executive director. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. I absolutely did not know that story, so that's kind of fun for me. A big thank you to Andrea for joining us today and for everything she's done to make Homeword so wonderful. We miss you, but we can't wait to see what you're going to accomplish as mayor of Missoula. And I'm excited to be serving as the interim executive director of Homeword, and really pleased to see so many of you here. Some of you I know, and some of you I'm going to get to know, and we're really happy to share with you about what we're up to and what we're planning. A little bit about me. I grew up in Arlene, Montana, and I went to the University of Montana for my undergraduate and graduate degrees. And I worked at University of Montana for over a decade before I came to Homeword as the operations and program director in 2016. As Andrea mentioned, then in July of 2022, I became the deputy director, continuing to develop my leadership skills and a deeper understanding of the critical work that Homeward staff accomplish. Fair warning, I'm a bit of a crier, especially when I feel really strongly about something and I feel really deeply about the work that we do. So I'm just putting it out there. Apologies ahead of time, or maybe no apology needed. There's a chance I may cry throughout some of this. So first, I'd like to start with some updates on what we've been up to since many of you received our annual report. And if you haven't had the chance to take a look at that report, it is also available on our website. I know that this is a lot of information that I'm about to share, and I promise I will not talk at you for an entire hour, but we are really proud to provide these updates to you. So I'm going to start with our home development team. We have continued to finish up and begin new developments across the state, ensuring that more Montanans have homes that they can afford to rent. We are up to a total of 1,527 homes in 13 communities. This includes the 30 permanent supportive homes at Blue Heron Place here in Missoula, and 25 permanent supportive homes at Bats Block Apartments in Great Falls, Montana. The Bats Block Apartments is a partnership between Homeword and NeighborWorks Great Falls and is a rehabilitation of a historic building in downtown Great Falls. We broke ground on that project this fall and hope to begin the full construction soon. And I say broke ground in air quotes because it's an existing building. It makes it kind of complicated to break ground, but still important to make a nod to the fact that we're moving forward. In Kalispell, we have 138 homes at Junegrass Place that are nearing completion. This is our most recent project with our longtime development partner, GMD Development. We are also very pleased to share that since the printing of our annual report, all 16 apartments have leased at Crowley Flats, our historic rehabilitation in downtown Lewistown. Those Montanans, oh shoot, it's too early for that. Whew. Our asset manager says that if you drink when you're tearing up, you can't cry. So I'm just going to take a quick drink. Those Montanans have new homes where they get to celebrate the holidays. And we are so proud to be a part of this next step in their lives. I warned you. Okay, as the Trinity apartments in Missoula are filling up, including those at Blue Heron Place, we are continuing to focus on the last piece of that project, which is the Navigation Center. A few weeks ago, we were happy to welcome elders from the Salish Pend Oreille Culture Committee at the Navigation Center in Blue Heron Place, as they consider to help us name the Navigation Center. We know that there is a disproportionate number of Native Americans experiencing houselessness, and we want to ensure that that space is welcoming to them and people of all backgrounds. In addition, Homeword is committed to becoming an anti-racist organization, and that commitment extends beyond words and learning. We are committed to action. We will continue to collaborate with our Native partners to understand and actively support the history, culture, and well-being of the Indigenous people on whose unceded land we live, work, and build. We will provide information regarding a naming ceremony for the Navigation Center when we have more details. Lastly, we were just informed that we were awarded state home funds to support the rehabilitation of 161 homes at Creekside Apartments here in Missoula. We are hopeful that rehabilitation work will begin in the spring of 2024. All right, on to our homeownership center. That team continues to respond to community needs, including property tax increases and inflation. We hear from our clients and other partners that they're fearing that many Montanans will be taxed out of their homes, especially those who are living on fixed incomes. In response to this and similar concerns, our homebuyer educator, Julie Pavlish, is creating a post-purchase class that we will offer likely in April of 2024. This class will include a focus on helping homeowners understand financial options to access their equity, as well as strategies for managing increasing costs, sustainability to reduce costs, and ways to engage with their community to build strong personal and community-wide foundations. For this class, we are partnering with Climate Smart Missoula, Home Resource, and MUD, the Missoula Urban Demonstration Project, to put together an informative and helpful curriculum. Keep an eye out for more information on this, and please know that while Homeword is focused on how we can support current homeowners, we are absolutely still continuing to empower Montanans who want to purchase a home or want to focus on their financial goals. All right, next up is our asset management department. In our annual report, we mentioned that we had been awarded over $700,000 in grants to support capital improvements to our properties. And I'm pleased to report that an additional grant was awarded to Hearthstone Apartments in Anaconda, which puts us at a total of over $1 million in local, state, and federal grants going to 6 properties across the state. And this is an area that I feel really strongly about. It's interesting to consider the fact that for apartments that have restricted rents, this support is critical for us to address larger capital needs like roofs or building systems like HVAC, the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. When we build with housing credits, there is currently a 50-year period of affordability. And well before the apartments reach the end of their periods of affordability, many of these big types of systems are also reaching the end of their useful life, but we still have the same costs to repair them. So there's not a discount for us on the costs of repairs and replacement just because we offer below market rent. We manage the operations of our properties with a focus on sustainability, but there's just not enough cash from the restricted rents to afford these large items, even with our very best efforts in saving. Homeward has a diverse portfolio of properties, and with our expanded asset management team, we are focused on ensuring that these homes remain affordable while improving the quality of life for residents through a long-term operational sustainability. And speaking of sustainability, in addition to the operational sustainability, we also continue to be focused on environmental sustainability. It's critical for Homeward to always consider our impact on the environment. Preserving existing affordable housing is one of the most sustainable efforts we can make, supporting the longevity of existing buildings and using sustainable methods in our capital improvements. We have less disposable building materials in the landfill, less energy use and cost savings for our properties and our renters. So that continues to be a real focus. And the rehabilitation of our existing portfolio and our existing properties is absolutely a nod to that. Homeward is in a great space to continue to achieve our mission. We've expanded our team in the past few years to better serve the needs of our community. At the end of 2021, we added a position to our asset management team, the asset coordinator, to ensure that we are focused on our aging portfolio and supporting our property management team and the renters that they serve. In addition, in April of 2022, we split our communications and fundraising manager position into 2, a fundraising manager and a communications manager. This has allowed us to expand our efforts, such as launching a brand refresh, which you likely saw in our annual report, and as Andrea said, offering this state of the organization for the very first time. We are also currently hiring. So we're hiring an administrative specialist with a priority deadline for applications on November 30th. So just a couple days away. If you know anyone who wants to join this amazing team, definitely spread the word. And more information about that position is on our website. Our team is really incredible with such a depth of knowledge and passion for our work. You will hear a little bit more about each of them in a moment, but we would not be as strong of an organization without such visionary and supportive board of directors. They are now undergoing one of the largest lifts a board has, hiring a new executive director after 15 years. You'll also hear more about that hiring process soon, but first I'd like to introduce you all to Jason Erickson, who's the Deputy Chief Credit Officer at our partner First Security Bank and Homeward's board treasurer, for an update on Homeward's 5-year strategic plan.
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate it. And I just would start by saying that I think I speak for the board in saying that Carissa, we have the utmost confidence in Carissa and the team at Homeward to navigate through this transition. It's never easy to replace someone like Andrea, but I think we've got a great team and a plan in place, and we're excited to kind of get on to the next step. So, like Carissa said, my name is Jason Erickson. I work at First Security Bank. I'm the treasurer of the board. I'd just like to thank you all for your interest and for being with us here today. And as Carissa mentioned, I'm here to talk about our strategic planning process that we went through during 2023 with the help of Keegan Flaherty from Flaherty Consulting. And as a part of the process, we wanted to identify strategic pillars that we could kind of go back to that would guide our decision-making process for the next 3 to 5 years. And we started that conversation with a vision. And that vision is what would have to be true for everyone in our community to have a safe and healthy home and financial education. And we kind of sprung off of that ideal into the 3 pillars that you see on your screen right now, which are strengthening communities, increasing knowledge, and creating homes. And I wanted to talk just a little bit, I guess, and then underneath those pillars, Keegan conducted, I think, many meetings with staff to talk about strategic, team work plans and outcomes under each of these that we would focus on over the next few years. So I wanted to talk about a couple of those outcomes in particular, and Chris has actually hit on a couple of these as well. One of the outcomes under increasing knowledge is to systemize and diversify our educational programming and serve 1,000 community members annually. And there was a lot of negatives, obviously, with the COVID pandemic, but one of the positives for Homeward is that we went to more of a virtual model for our education programming, which took us from serving mostly those in and around the Missoula community to being able to reach community members across the state, which I think is certainly a positive. And as Carissa mentioned, part of that focus is thinking about what are the current needs of our community members, and one of those needs is that post-closing educational class that Carissa mentioned. And one of the other kind of most important components of the strategic plan that we focus on is our partnerships. So our partnership with Climate Smart Missoula, MUD, and Home Resource is really a great example of leveraging our partnerships to create this new program to help folks in Montana. Another one of the outcomes, this is under the creating home pillars, and again, Carissa touched on this, is how do we define kind of a capital needs assessment for our existing projects? How do we handle those large repair and maintenance needs that come up? Because one of the most important components of providing homes for people in Montana, homes that people can afford, homes that are sustainable, is to maintain and keep the homes that we have in our portfolio and keep those affordable and sustainable for the residents. So one of the outcomes with that goal in mind is to kind of hone our planning process around those. And, Carissa hit on some really positive outcomes because, really what that planning process often gets down to is how do we pay for it? And we've got some great grant sources that have come in recently to help. It's a big need, but those are certainly going to take us a long way in the projects that are impacted by those. So, and for those that are interested in more information about our strategic plan and the specific outcomes, if you go to the About section of our website, you'll see the full strategic plan and all those outcomes there. So if you're interested, please go there to learn more. Finally, as the treasurer, I thought I'd just comment briefly on the financial condition of Homeward. I mean, obviously, it's been a challenging couple of years for any organization that's trying to develop homes, build homes, maintain costs, maintain timelines. It's been a really challenging couple of years, but I'm happy to report that I think Homeward has navigated those difficulties extremely well. I think we are in a really great position to continue to provide education and continue to expand our the amount of homes that we can provide to folks in the state. And really, from a management and from a board perspective, we're focused on managing costs as best we can to be prudent, but also investing in our excellent staff, and with the goal to provide a competitive, and living wage for those that work at Homeward. And that's certainly a really important thing to us. So I just want to thank you all again, for anyone who made a donation to our transition fund, in addition to your annual gift. And again, on this Giving Tuesday, thank you again for anyone who is able to make a gift to our end of year campaign. Thank you again for your support of Homeward and the work that we do. And with that, I would like to turn it over to fellow board member and our board secretary, Jessica Vizzuti, to talk a little bit more about our executive director hiring process.
Thank you, Jason. Hi, y'all. I am Jessica Vizzuti, and I'm a member of the board of directors and chairing the hiring committee for Homeward in our search for our new executive director. And I wanted to give you a brief update on what we're doing on that front. Our current staff is beyond excellent, and we want to make sure that our next leader is as stellar as they are. First of all, Homeward is hiring a third-party consulting firm to help us in this process. We're excited to have the extra help posting the job, vetting applicants, and supporting the administrative work that goes on behind the scenes to aid us in finding the very best leader for the organization. We have formed a hiring committee consisting of a few board members and an outside community member to lead the process and keep things on track. This group meets weekly and will continue to do so throughout the hiring process. We're also eliciting staff and board feedback throughout this process. No one knows how Homeward works like the people that are there daily making it happen. And it is extremely important to us that staff members in particular feel heard and contribute as we progress. We aim to begin the executive director search in early December and are committed to a thorough search process to secure an outstanding candidate. Homeward is a special place, and we look forward to stewarding this process responsibly so that we can continue to build homes for Montanans from all walks of life. One question we received prior to the state of the organization was, who is on the team and what are their qualifications? And I'm happy to invite Heather McMillan, Homeward Project Development Director, to give you more details about this incredible team. Heather?
Thanks, Jessica. Really appreciate it. It was really fun to go back and read and check bios. I've had the luxury of working with Homeward for the last 20 years, and the team we have right now is amazing. I am going to talk a little bit about Carissa. I know some of us already heard her qualifications, but I saw a few people join. So it's worth noting that Carissa is currently our interim executive director, but she's been at Homeward for 7 years. She has a Master of Public Administration and Master of Education from U of M, where she worked as the new student and family programs for nearly a decade. Carissa started at Homeward as the operations director and advanced to deputy director in June of 2022. She has been ensuring this entire time that the work of the organization is carried out in a manner consistent with Homeward's strategic plan and mission. As I mentioned, I'm Heather McMillan, the project development director for Homeward. I joined Homeward over 20 years ago. I'm still a little thrown by that. But in addition to my institutional knowledge, I'm also a licensed architect with a master in architecture and a bachelor of environmental design from MSU. So we're a mixed family here at Homeward. Early in my career, I worked for architectural firms where I really started to understand and deepen the need for sustainability and long-term sustainability in the construction and development world. So since working at Homeward, I've received extensive training experience in affordable housing and sustainable design. And it's my job to, once I started as a project manager and then advanced to project development director about 15 years ago, basically leading the development team and the development strategies, working closely with leadership. Matt Joseph is our finance director. Matt is a licensed CPA with a BA in accounting, is also certified by the National Development Council in Housing Development Finance. Before joining Homeward over a decade ago, Matt was a controller for a local contractor for 11 years. While at Homeward, Matt has leaned in and advanced our very complicated finance structures and fiscal policies. He graduated from the Montana State Fund WorkSafe Championship Mentor Program and assists leadership in Homeward on safety, HR, and benefits as far as programs. Our project team consists of both our development team and our asset team. Julie Steitler is our project manager. She's worked at Homeward for over 15 years with me. After graduating from MSU as well, with a bachelor in architecture, she did go back and get her master's when allowed to do so later in her career while at Homeward. She headed to Seattle first, was an associate at a large architectural firm managing the design and construction phase services for large multifamily projects. She joined the City of Seattle's Department of Planning and Development, where she eventually became a construction plan review manager. While at Homeward, Julie has been a leader with staff and also advancing our project management systems to the professional level that they are today. Liz Stott is also a project manager at Homeward and works with me on the development side. Liz is a graduate of U of M and started her professional career at the Office of Planning Budget Analysis there at U of M. After working there for 15 years, she joined Homeward in October of 2021. She brings extensive knowledge about finances and pivot tables to the team. Liz is a key player in advancing our coordination between our development and finance departments. Our asset management team consists of Erin Adwala she also graduated from U of M and Missoula College with high honors with an AAS degree in business management and administrative management. Erin holds certificates in applied science and customer relation and sales and marketing. Erin started at Homeward as actually an intern. Then we decided we needed to hire her as an administrative specialist in 2018. When Homeward expanded our asset management team and added asset coordinator position, Erin stepped into that new role with more of a focus on our portfolio. When the asset manager position opened up in July of 2022, Erin was hired for that position with a focus on growing the position's role for Homeward, and again, a good focus on our existing portfolio. Reginald Mitchell is our asset coordinator. Reggie joined the Homeward team in December of 2022, actually coming from his role as a special operations manager for Tamarack Property Management Company, giving him more than 7 years of experience in day-to-day business operations and management and maintenance of our properties. While with Tamarack, Reggie collaborated with other staff to refine procedures, devise best practices, and to correct quality audit findings. His knowledge of our portfolio is a significant benefit to Homeward as we grow our asset management team. Over on the home ownership center team, we have the most incredible educators. Julie Pavlish is the homebuyer educator. Early in her career, Julie focused on financial literacy, becoming a certified financial counselor in 2013. Before joining Homeward in 2018, she worked at U of M in the financial educations program, helping students understand long-term financial impacts of their educational choices, as well as helping clients understand their student loan repayment options. Julie also currently serves with the City of Missoula's Affordable Housing Resident Oversight Committee. Katie Sadowski is our finance educator. Katie's professional experience before starting at Homeward in 2016 included 10 years in tax preparation and outdoor education. Katie uses her training and experience in education to make finances come alive for her students. She is also an active enrolled agent and has earned her certified financial planner designation. And if you think that financial education couldn't be exciting, you really should take one of Katie's classes someday. It's actually pretty amazing. Both Julie and Katie are HUD certified counselors to the NeighborWorks Center for Homeownership Education and Counseling, and have adopted the national industry standards and code of ethics and conduct through NeighborWorks America. Laurel Ramsdale is our office manager. Laurel graduated from University of Montana, Missoula College with an AAS degree in accounting and hospitality management and certificates in customer relations and accounting technology. She first joined Homeward in 2022 as the finance coordinator, focused on bookkeeping functions, then moved to the office manager position later that year. She will be training a new admin specialist when one is hired, and she will be shifting completely over to the finance department with a focus on supporting finance and also our overall portfolio management. Last but not least, we have a wonderful fundraising and communications team. Andy Armstrong is our communications manager. She brings 14 years of public sector experience at University of Montana, where she earned a BA and an MA in English. She joined the Homeward team in spring of 2022 when the previously mentioned split in the fundraising and communications team occurred. She has been critical support and supporting and navigating the transition from a one staff position to two. Jacqueline Llewellyn is our fundraising manager. Jack joined the Homeward team earlier in 2023. Jack has lived and worked in 7 different countries, yet most worked in 7 different countries, yet most recently worked as executive director at the Jeanette Rankin Peace Center. She has a BA in feminist studies and a BA in psychology and MA in social science. Jack brings her decade of event planning experience and over 5 years of diversified funding and fiscal management experience to Homeward as the position grows, and she is already making a significant impact for us. In fact, actually, Jack is next up to invite you to a few upcoming events, and we'll share how close we are to our Giving Tuesday fundraising goal. Take it over, Jack.
Thanks, Heather. I'm so glad that you guys all had the opportunity to hear about the depth and experience of our team. It feels really exciting to be a part of this team. And I know that so many of you on the call have been with Homeward as supporters or donors or partners for much longer than even all of the staff. So I just want to thank you all for being here and for being with us as we continue on this transition. A quick couple updates. We have an upcoming holiday party, an open house. It'll be on Tuesday, December 5th from 4 to 6 p.m. at Homeward in our Solstice Conference Center. There'll be some beverages and some food, so we hope that you're able to join us if you can. And then we have also set up some meetings with Carissa. So, you know, after today or just in general, if you're interested in sharing ideas or hearing suggestions or listening to Carissa's vision for the organization or where we're at, a great opportunity to check in about that kind of stuff will be at these Coffees with Carissa. There are some select Tuesdays at 3 p.m., which will be in person at our Solstice Conference Center, and select Fridays at noon, which will be over Zoom. There's a limit to 6 people for those events. And after I'm done sharing some updates, I'll post those links in case you'd like to check in with her and one other leadership member. Next, just a final kind of reminder that we are hiring for an administrative specialist. If you know anyone who is interested, the priority deadline is in 2 days, and you can find information on our website. I love working here. I think Homeward's team loves working for Homeward. So if you know anyone interested, please forward it on to them. And then a final just quick reminder, we have reached $1,100 of our $2,000 goal. So if you're able to help us get a little bit closer towards that Giving Tuesday match, we would greatly appreciate it. Quick little shout out to the donors who helped us create that matching pool of funds. That is Man Mortgage, Connie Matheson, Gretchen Hooker, Meg Hain, Sarah Nelson, Gabe Carroll, and Andy Armstrong. So thanks to those folks for that pool of funds, and to everyone who showed up today. We'd love to hear your feedback on the state of the organization. Do you want us to do this again? How did it go? What did you like? So feel free to email me or anyone on the team. And next, I will be handing it over to our incredible home buyer educator, Julie Pavlish, who's going to lead the Q&A.
Thanks, Jack. I've put you all, if you are curious to see everybody who is here, just a reminder, you can change your view up on the right-hand side of your screen. So if you would like to see everybody Brady Bunch style, you can select that gallery view option, and we'll be able to see you all together in one space. So we did have a few questions come in as people were registering for the event. And so I thought we would start with those. And then if you all have any others that you're curious about, we are here to answer those. And so you can just pop those in the chats and I will make sure that we get them asked. So the first question that we had somebody ask, will any of Homeward's programs stop or change during the transition? And Chris, I'm going to toss that one to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we've covered this, but no, we had already been succession planning even before Andrea announced her candidacy. And then with the announcement, as well as the extreme success in the primary, we had been hitting it hard as far as succession planning, making sure that the team was ready in case of what felt like a strong likelihood of her election. And so, in fact, we're not slowing down. We are adding services as the community needs. You having an issue?
lost my mouse for a second on 3 screens. Sorry, y'all. All right. So another one that was asked, I would appreciate hearing about new projects on the horizon and how they will be funded and about those completed projects.
Okay, I'll start, and then Heather, I might have you fill in where I miss, if that's right. And we have Julie and Liz on screen as well. If I miss anything, please jump in. So right now we have several active projects in various stages of construction, which we kind of talked about throughout this. We are also intentionally focusing on our portfolio. We're considering a variety of local and state and federal funding sources, including possibly reinvesting with federal housing credits. We have biweekly project team meetings where we're just focused on analyzing the portfolio needs against potential funding options. We have a lot of project teams meetings, but biweekly we have one just about the portfolio. And as far as projects that are upcoming, we are partnering with Homefront out of Billings and All Nations Health Center here in Missoula on possible new development projects that they're considering as a developer partner. I also think it's important to nod to the fact that it's a really tough time to do new development projects. There's low tax credit pricing for those of you who understand that world, and higher interest rates, as well as higher land and material and labor costs. So we're being really intentional and strategic to ensure that we're utilizing those funding sources as they were intended to create and preserve homes that Montanans can afford to rent. Anything else, Heather?
No, I think that was really good, Carissa. And overall, those are new projects. The current projects we're closing out, Trinity here in Missoula, which is in the West Side neighborhood, and then over on Mullen. We're completing the construction there. We have homes in Kalispell that we're in partnership on that are being completed as we speak. And then we also have a project that is the BATS project, the 25 permanent supportive homes up in Great Falls in partnership with NeighborWorks Great Falls, literally starting as we speak. So it's been colorful the last few years, but I do feel like we're in a really great position to navigate just kind of the world being upended on costs and those pieces. So great team, and yeah, we've been doing all right.
Thank you both for that. All right, we had one other that came in, and the question was, will we still be able to steer first-time homebuyers to you for help? I'm going to take this one because yes, Katie and I are not going anywhere as your educators, and it is our goal to meet our community where we're at. And right now, more than maybe ever before, our community members need the education that we're providing to help them reach these big goals that they still have. And so that part of our program we are keeping strong. We're just adding to it to hopefully meet more of the needs that we see out there. So we are certainly not going to discontinue any of the things you know and love about us. Those are there, they are strong, they will continue to be there. Our financial skill building course, I thought this was fun. Out of my last class of homebuyers, half of them either registered for our very next financial skill building course or plan to for one in the future. So our continued education, that just shows the need in our community for the programs that we have always offered. And so we're those we will continue seamlessly for you. All right, let's see here. One popped in from Miss Amy. Anything on the horizon related to the rise in the numbers of unsheltered folks?
That's a great question. You know, when we talk about, and I apologize, we addressed what permanent supportive housing is in our annual report, but for those of you who don't know, when I'm talking about the 30 permanent supportive homes here in Missoula at Blue Heron Place, and then the 25 at Bats Block Apartments in Great Falls, that is a part of the Housing First model, which really is to provide folks a home so that they feel secure there and then can address other challenges that may have contributed to or began when they were experiencing houselessness. And generally speaking, the model for Housing First is that the folks who are put into permanent supportive homes are those who are at the highest risk of dying on the streets. And so that we're putting our highest risk neighbors who are experiencing houselessness there, and they're able to be connected with support and services so that they can reach what goals they have. There's not a requirement of sobriety or programming, but it's certainly more readily available to folks when it's there on site where they're living. And we know, we've heard, I mean, if you want me to cry some more, I can tell you a lot of really wonderful stories from Blue Heron Place, but our partners, Partnership Health Center is staffing over at Blue Heron Place during the day. And then our partners at the Palvarella Center are there as night staff. So there's folks on site 24 hours a day at Blue Heron Place. And the community that they are creating is incredible. They have Open Aid Alliance came over and they did a burrito making workshop for folks because a lot of these folks haven't had kitchens for a very long time. And they had a communal Thanksgiving meal. They've had multiple communal meals together. And we see those folks really flourishing. And for those of you who are in Missoula, you may notice that there are some of those folks that you may have seen consistently around town who maybe you aren't seeing anymore. There's one in particular that we always would see downtown, and we know that they are now at Blue Heron Place, and it's just such a wonderful opportunity to really get folks into a space where they can be supported. So to that end, that is one way that Homeword is a part of addressing the houselessness challenges that we're facing as a community. There's not a silver bullet to that solution. And so that's one way that we're doing it, but there are certainly other opportunities that might come up. But developing the permanent supportive housing is where we're stepping in currently. Anyone else want to jump in on that?
I think you alluded to it, Carissa, but that we recognize Blue Heron is only one small slice of the overall houseless pie. So there are some other organizations that have made strides. I still think we have a long road to hoe on that front. And so we're continuing to work with All Nations on potential options and with others because it's just one small piece. And we're also working in other communities as we all learn this model and its successes. And if we talk about Blue Heron, I'll cry because we spent 2 years hoping it would work. And now it's really working well.
It's a real tearjerker of a project.
It is, but it makes you feel better. I broke down and hugged a staff member when he asked if he could do community gardens because we couldn't afford to put them on the ground, but they were going to figure out a way to do it. And we had to cut it out because of cost savings. And it's just an amazing story, but we want to be able to use this model in this example. We traveled out of state to see these examples work. Now we are the example in the state, and we're sharing that knowledge with other communities, organizations, and trying to work on a statewide scale with that. So there's no secrets, but we all need to share and partner with our strengths and share what we know to help with this solution.
And as our new mayor likes to talk about, it's important that we educate the communities around us. One narrative that you hear a lot is that Missoula is doing a solid job of supporting folks who are experiencing houselessness. And so folks are coming here. And one way to help with that is to educate our community neighbors on ways that they can support their folks that are experiencing houselessness so that they feel like they can support them locally. And I know that's something that our new mayor has on her agenda.
And I will add to this, as Homeward goes from the educational standpoint, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And so Katie and I have really worked hard we're going to be delving into a new counseling program called the HALF program to help current homeowners stay in their homes in an affordable way so that we don't have folks transitioning from stabilized housing into unstable housing, wherever we can provide access to resources, education and information to be able to prevent that. Especially, I just read an article the other day that the number of boomers who are moving into homelessness has increased like threefold in the last 6 months. So this is, it is hitting multi-generational markers, and we want to make sure that if we can help to prevent with education, we're stepping in that space as well. All right.
One more thing, sorry. The Navigation Center is another space where we'll be supporting folks experiencing houselessness. Once it's up and running, we have all kinds of ideas that we're sort of figuring out, but really wanting to focus on connecting folks with support services as well as medical care in that space. Sorry.
Patricia, I see your hand up. Go ahead and unmute and ask for us.
Thank you. I was wondering if Homeward or does anyone in the community make a sustained effort to educate the community about ways to understand the homelessness situation, because I'm kind of worried that with the tenor of the general conversation in this country, I'm worried that people are going to become really hard-hearted about, where these resources are going.
Absolutely, Patricia, we definitely hear that. We are not experts on houselessness. Blue Heron Place and the Bats Block apartments are a toe dip for us into this particular model. But I think it is important that as community members and folks that are supporting all community members kind of across the state, that we are putting our efforts into trying to support folks experiencing houselessness. And where Homeward is going to fit into that narrative is to tell the stories and be able to talk about the outcomes and be able to say, hey, listen, here are 30 people who may have died this winter on the streets. And here are the really incredible outcomes that we know they're going to experience because we've seen it in Colorado and other areas that have done this type of work. And so I think that's a specific way that Homeward is going to fit into that narrative. Another way is just participating in the various community groups that are working on trying to solve houselessness as best they can. So Jacqueline has started participating in the 0 for 30 program, which is an effort in Missoula and statewide. Jack, is that correct? To try to end veteran homelessness. It's a really specific effort. We are also part of the At-Risk Housing Coalition, which is a group that the city runs of various providers who are working with the homeless population and managing the coordinated entry system, which is the way that folks get onto a list so that we can figure out who really needs more services. It's kind of a way that we can kind of centralize support so that we know that people aren't duplicating support and we're really able to hyper focus on the folks that need it the most. So we're certainly not the experts in it, but we are absolutely part of the conversations.
Yeah, and I'll just add, and we spoke about it a bit, we got the opportunity to go places and see a model work, and now we've built Blue Heron and we're working on that, and it's our duty, I believe strongly, to share all lessons learned and also to pay attention to what we did right and what we did wrong and what fits and what doesn't. And so I think, Patricia, it's a great question. I also worry about that just by watching, the general current of sentiment. And I think that as housers, a lot of us have stepped up and learned something new, and so have the service providers. They've learned something new. And it would probably be a really good idea for us to say those stories out loud, because sharing that, I think, changes the perception. And like I said, we've learned a lot of new things over the last couple of years, and sharing that would be really important.
Mm-hmm. One story that really resonated with me from one of the first folks that moved into Blue Heron Place. She walked in, and y'all, these apartments are beautiful. They're big and they have big windows and lots of natural light. And she walked in and she was so excited about this apartment. And then she was like, but I have to move out in a year, right? And the property manager who was walking her through was like, no, this is your apartment until you decided to move into a different place, if you so choose, but this is yours. And that, like, the provider said, like, seeing that happiness and relief on that person's face was really valuable. So.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah, Patricia.
I just wanted to say I appreciate what I just heard, and I'd certainly appreciate Homeward's efforts in all of their various directions. But I just want to emphasize that we need to be proactive on getting those stories out there, because I think it would help for people to know that sort of thing in advance of having their complaints formalized.
Agreed. We agree.
Yes, Patricia, thank you. And then just as a note, Jenny did share a great opportunity coming this Thursday with the Montana Women Vote, along with other organizations, for a teach-in that looks really interesting around this topic. All right. Any other questions out there? I want to take a breath and take a minute to give you all a last opportunity. Okay, so we don't have any in there, so I will pass it to you to close for us.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. We're really hopeful that the hour illustrated how excited we are at Homeward for the future of our organization and how much we appreciate all of our partners and supporters. Please don't hesitate to reach out with questions and consider signing up for one of the Coffee with Carissas to continue these conversations. We, for a hot second, considered calling it Coffee with a K with Carissa, but that felt a little too kitschy, so we did not do that. You're welcome, I think, but we'd love to interact with a few of you. You know, if you have personal questions or additional questions, please sign up for those. And if they don't work, if those times don't work, just reach out to us individually and we can make time for you. We really appreciate you all coming. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Thanks, Mayor.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Homeward.
anytime.
And thank you for all the wonderful compliments. We'll keep that chat for our staff.
And I'm so sorry I couldn't be here from the beginning. I had an appointment and I rushed back I did want to say, when Patricia mentioned the blue heron, you know, the only reason I know about that is from when I went to the thing we had at the Imagination. It would be good to get that word out to the community more if you can. I don't know how it would fit.
No, that's great, Ethel. You know, our focus has been on just like getting it launched, honestly, and we are so close to having it fully leased up, and then we can really shift the focus to a little bit more communication about what's happening there, because that's the next step, right? We built it, now why? And we have to explain our why, or other folks won't buy in. So no, we hear you on that, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you
Great.
for reinforcing
Thanks,
that.
Ethel. Yeah,
I
And
can
if
say
you
the city will be a partner on that too.
thanks.
All right.
Mayor, thanks for that commitment.
That would have been my question. What's up with it? So good. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. We appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.